fake checks, fake prenups, fake flights to Turkey, coming up on the Fraudcast.
In the States or abroad, no one's safe from the talkers of fraud. In the States or abroad, no one's safe from the talkers of fraud.
The following goes beyond the show and beyond the gram to bring you all the fraud that's fit to be uncovered. This is the Fraudcast, and now, here are your fraudcasters, Hanakawa and Katrina.
I swear. Oh my God. It's funny because he's from Turkey and all I can think about is him like spontaneously saying pork in that one episode.
Was he saying pork?
Pork?
Pork. It's some Turkish word, isn't it?
He wanted to make sure like the taco he was eating wasn't pork.
He doesn't eat pork. That's right.
Or tacos, apparently.
Okay, as long as the tacos weren't made with pork, I guess. I don't know. Oh my God.
I think they're made with honey if they're Anna's.
You guys were talking about Anna and Marcel, and we're losing our goddamn minds because this fucking season is finally on its way out.
We're almost there. We just have the tell-all.
The two-part tell-all. So we saw the finale this week, the finale of the season, and now we just have the two-part tell-all. So we were like, okay, well, this season is boring as fuck. What are we going to do, right? So we decided we are going to go through each couple. We're going to do like a fraud and review of each couple of the season, I guess. Is that the best way to describe it?
Pretty much. I mean, it's going to be our best attempt to make them more exciting by
remembering some of the spectacular producer-driven scripting that's been out there. So this is a spoiler podcast. Do I have to say that? What's to spoil anymore? I mean, I guess
everything's a spoiler.
I guess
the show's a spoiler.
Some information about the tell-all that we can talk about, but I mean,
you're a spoiler.
I'm a spoiler, no spoiling. You're a spoiler.
I am a spoiler.
Your face is a spoiler.
Oh, yeah. I'll save that for tomorrow's recording.
When we record the Patreon. You guys, we have a Patreon, if you haven't heard. Patreon.com/TheFraudcast for $3 a month. You can hear 4 episodes. That's 1 episode a week of us talking about God knows what. No, really. We're covering Married at First Sight and Life After Lockup right now, but also lots of other stuff. Speaking of, I have a whole info dump on Married at First Sight spoilers that we'll get into during the Patreon. So if you guys are watching Married at First Sight, which I guess I think a lot of you are, because 90 Day has been such a snooze fest. There's been a lot of crossover over to Married at First Sight. I actually do have a lot of spoilers and a big info dump we just got. So, tune into our Patreon for that if you want. That's $3 a month, and you get 4 episodes a month. That's 1 a week, plus access to our Patreon-only Facebook group and Discord server. So, and if you want the $5 level, I'll send you some stickers. So, anyway.
Ooh, $5. I don't even think I can get a coffee at Starbucks for that price.
Right.
Like a special coffee.
Yeah.
Like
my venti skinny vanilla latte is, I think, more than $5.
You have a basic order. That's an easy one.
Yeah, that's an easy one. Yeah,
I tried someone come in for like a venti mocha, extra whipped cream, extra sugar, 10 pumps of mocha.
Oh, Jesus.
I was like, do you want to die?
Well, back during the fall, I tried the pumpkin spice latte. Because
how'd
it's
that go
such
for
a thing.
You?
Not very well. I wasn't a fan, and I posted about it on my Instagram, Frauded by TLC. And so everybody has opinions, and they told me all of their various ways of doing the pumpkin spice latte so that it's good. And they gave me a variety of different options. Universally, they said it had to be cold, which, what's the point? I don't know. So I tried a couple different options, and one of them apparently was like, give me a side of diabetes and insulin on the side of it. Like, it was really like that much stuff. I don't know. Because I just
my hacks come from making the drink cheaper. So if you like any kind of latte, ask for a misto and like 2 pumps of whatever syrup your little heart desires, and it almost tastes the same.
Interesting.
And this comes from an ex-barista. Like, we overcharged people for these frou-frou drinks. And
so my skinny vanilla latte, there's a cheaper hack to getting that? The reason why I get it, well, partly is because the lower calories of the sugar-free vanilla, but also because the sugar-free vanilla is actually sweeter than the regular vanilla, and that way I don't have to add any Splenda or sugar or anything to it. I can like grab it and go. I don't have to stop at the condiments bar, because the condiments bar in Starbucks that I go to is just, it can be absolutely ridiculous, and you can tell a lot about somebody by their behavior at the condiments bar at Starbucks, especially on a Monday morning.
Oh, yeah.
So I do the mobile order ahead. Like, I'll drop off baby frauded or baby step frauded at her school, and then I'll order on the app and pick it up on my way home as I go home to work from home. So
there
if
you go.
minimize the amount of time I have to spend inside, because I'm usually in like my pajama pants.
I don't blame you. For me, it's more of like, when I drink coffee, I want it to be like caffeine. So, before we get into what people really want to hear, here's a spoiler for you that espresso has less caffeine than regular brewed coffee.
Oh.
So for me, instead of like a skinny vanilla latte, I would get like a grande misto non-fat with 3 pumps of sugar-free vanilla. Try that.
You're going to have to text that to me, because but I'm not even drinking it right now because that's part of my fasting window now. So I haven't had my Starbucks.
Oh, you're not doing it wet? See, I do wet fasting.
Well, I do regular
so if it's
coffee.
liquid, it's in my mouth.
I do regular coffee, but I'm not going to add all the vanilla and all the extra stuff, because that'll just like add too much sugar, and my bowels are already having issues, and now I'm getting way TMI as I try to adjust, and I take a medication that stops me up, and it's in the eating. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing, you guys, and you don't want to hear about it. You're just like, shut the fuck up and give me the tea.
Well, so speaking of being stopped up, we have our first. We talk about St. John and Tanya
if we have to. And then can we never speak of them again? Oh, wait, no, we have the 2-part tell-all to get through.
No, we have the tell-all, and then who knows who's going to be invited to Happily Ever After.
But we know, here's a spoiler about St. John and Tanya. They are part of Happily Ever After. They've been signed, and they are currently filming for Happily Ever After. So unfortunately, we're not done with them, you guys.
Should be like Soulmate Ever After.
But it's Happily Ever After ? Which I think is hilarious, because that's probably the most accurate. So yeah, we know they're filming. I think there's been some Redditors that have posted pictures or have spotted them in the wild filming with the film crew. That has been confirmed by my sources. So there we go. Why don't we talk about St. John and Tanya this season?
I think, I'm not going to say because I got super hyper focused. I really tried to debunk the craziness of her leaving in the middle of him being here.
Right. So
the harder I tried, the harder it pointed to, she really fucking left him in the middle of the damn 90 days.
Right. So we had speculation. There was some evidence. There was some speculation, things that led Hanakawa to believe that Tanya's leaving for 30 days to go to Costa Rica might not have actually occurred during the 90 days when St. John was in the country, that there was possibility it occurred before that, and they were just showing it as if it were in the middle of the 90 days for dramatic effect.
Right.
So we went deep. Our investigative journalism skills here were really put to the test. Like, how deep were we going? I still follow.
It was stupid deep. It was like
the cousins and aunts and uncles of these people that I was tracking down on social media, trying to find something, anything.
Looking at the freaking wax lady, all the areas that you go, okay, I'll find this and it'll probably give me a hint.
Yeah, nothing.
It's like, okay, well, Tanya got her kuka waxed on like April 14th or whatever, and it lines up to Sinjin being there, and I don't see TLC filming and then disappearing for a couple months and then coming back. I don't know.
I mean, they do film for a couple days and then they go away for a couple weeks, maybe sometimes at the most, and then they come back. Like but a couple of months is not typically
that's
in their shooting schedule.
So all it did was lead to like knowing that they probably just got married on the last day of the 90-day window.
Which wouldn't surprise me. I mean, we've talked about this.
I feel like they all did that this season, so whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now when, people think that, her being an asshole is being fake, and I don't know.
Well, we had her sister going on, her sister Tiana go on a rant on social media allegedly being her, saying that Tanya was really as much of a bitch and selfish in real life as she was shown on the show. But then when we went to go track down the sister, we found out that the account that came from wasn't her real account. We found her real account.
She like deleted everything, and I have a feeling like who knows what happens to these cast members if even the siblings or whatever leak or talk about things.
I have information on that.
You do?
I do. Because, funny you should ask.
Because I'm just saying, whatever you say might have been enough to spook her or her sister to like just go down and like bitch slap her and tell her to delete herself. And she did.
Delete yourself. Right. Well, I have heard, and this was a couple seasons ago, not sure if this is like the most recent crackdown or if this came out a couple seasons ago or this is a new policy, because some cast members haven't heard it. It may be specific to certain cast members or whatever. Anyway, the speculation, there's talk that TLC will now try to come down on the cast member if the leak is about them, regardless of where it came from. So, like, for example, if we got information, so here, Jasmine and Blake, we found their wedding photo on one of the record producer friends that was there at the wedding, right? So it was like this tangential person related to them, but it was like the record producer that Blake works with. One of the friends from that group had posted this wedding picture, and we posted it, and this new quote unquote policy would be that Jasmine and Blake would be held responsible for that, regardless that they're not the ones that posted it or leaked it to me or anything like that.
Gotcha.
So whether that's actually true, whether TLC is always picked and choose, English. I can't.
Poked and choked.
What? I don't know. I think that's a fetish reserved for our Patreon.
It might be for Fetish Saturdays.
Saturday on Hanakawa's Instagram. Join us at the Hanakawa on Saturday nights late.
All 10 people come to talk fetishes with.
But it's awesome. We'll have to have Hetero Life Mate do a radio voice of it. It's like late night with the Hanakawa.
Yes,
I'll have to get him to do something. Anyway, back to this new policy, this social media policy. TLC has always been sort of pick and choosing who they want to enforce their contracts against, and it's, that's why, like, you see a lot of people, quote unquote, violating their NDAs. I can speak English, you guys, really. Violating their NDAs. And, we don't know if a lot of these people have had their money halted or not. Some people we do know have had their money halted. Paul has come out and said that he's had his money halted several times because he's talked about things he shouldn't have been talking about. Laura has said that because she talked about things that she's not supposed to talk about. But then there's other people like Michael and Juliana who've all these wedding photos leaked like at the first episode. We don't know if they had theirs. So it's possible that the same sort of situation happened and everybody locked down, because we found that the account, the Facebook account that the sister Tiana had used to put out this information. Allegedly, the sister. I don't know if it's her or not, but allegedly it's her. We found her actual real one and reached out to her, and she shut me down hard and fast.
Did she block you?
She said, "You have the wrong person," which no, because you look at the pictures, it's obviously her. And then she blocked me.
Unless someone's pretending to be her, then that's, I mean.
Right. No, I think
if I was pretending to be someone, I'd probably block you too.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe.
Sure.
I would talk to you and keep telling you that Tanya's an asshole.
Who knows? But maybe the other account wasn't really the sister, or maybe it was the sister. Who knows? Anyway,
I don't know. She had details that were like the whole, like, I guess what threw me for a loop was that on Tanya's Facebook, she posted that she was looking for a place to live. Mm-hmm. And so if you go by the timing that Sinjin was there, she was looking for a new place to live, like, while he was there.
Was it? Okay. Yeah.
It was like May 2nd, right before she was going to Costa Rica or whatever.
Right.
And it was just so weirdly
and he had gotten there in
timed
April. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm like, did she find a place to stay and they faked living in the shed for all that time? Because they don't really do much in the shed but lay on the bed and talk about soulmates and shit. But
they sit on that couch, yeah. So
okay, the walls are just so...
I just can't handle the fact that there's no bathroom there. That's what makes it difficult for me. I'm very much
they could just pee outside.
No.
Like, isn't it wilderness outside the shed?
The boys, sure, but not me.
She can squat. She's like connected to nature.
Sure. Do you think she got a chance to shower before her wedding or not?
I hope so.
Because remember, she's like, I might have to just bird bath it because they were so late, and then the wedding, whatever, finally happened, and then they had to stop it in the middle to get their ring tattoos. Which, whatever. Like, my point on the ring,
she's somewhat clean. I mean,
she looked it.
She can always shower afterwards.
Yeah. My thing about the tattoo rings was like, getting your ring tattooed on. It's not a choice I would make, but to each their own. Like, I don't really have an opinion on it. I have an opinion about getting your significant other tattooed on you, like in some fashion, because that's the immediate sign you're going to break up.
Right. Well, I think for her, it was all about, as she kept saying, being marked, kind of. Mm-hmm. Maybe she wanted a ring that he couldn't take off. I feel like...
What I had a problem with this fact that they did it right there in the middle of the fucking ceremony. If you're going to get your rings tattooed, whatever, to each their own. I have an amethyst, quote unquote, engagement commitment ring. Like, it's not for everybody. I get it. Like, do whatever you want. Don't have a ring. Have a fake ring. Have a real ring. I don't care. Like, I have really not a lot of opinion about those kinds of choices that people make in their lives. But, like, to do it, first of all, in the middle of the fucking wilderness that's clearly not sterile. I thought I was making a bad choice in college when I got a tramp stamp on my lower, I got the tramp stamp done on someone's couch when I was in college. Like, I thought that was a poor choice, which, spoiler alert, it was.
It was like a house tattoo there in the backyard. And I mean, as a guest, I would have been entertained as fuck.
All right. So
watching Tanya get tattooed. Like, I don't care. If there's snacks, there's champagne, I'd probably just be like, this is fucking great.
Do you think
the best fucking ring ceremony? I thought they were going to pull out fucking sand.
Did you think that they had, like, were offering, like, joints or edibles as wedding favors?
Yeah, or psychedelics.
Something. I feel
some
like...
kind of wild mushroom or...
I feel like that would be something that they would have in their sort of do-it-yourself wedding favors.
Here's a joint.
Yeah, joint.
A
or
uniting
edible.
Of our love. Like joint.
Oh, God.
The only thing that pissed me off, and I was going in the weeds with her, was like, I think she feels like she was pushing the limits by having a black wedding dress and doing tattooed rings and
but
this and
it
that.
didn't
I'm
really
like,
look
it's
that
not
counterculture. It was like red roses, the black dress, and ribbons. It was pretty for an outdoor backyard wedding. It looked really pretty.
Like, even I'm searching for a black wedding dress, and it's not because it's different. It's just because it's dark like my fucking soul, and I love it. And I don't need to go with traditional white because I obviously have a kid. But
Do we need to tie a red ribbon around your waist?
You are transitioning so well tonight.
Woohoo! See, that was one thing that my supervisor talked to me about at my quarterly meeting was my transitions in my writing. So maybe I just need to have her listen to this and be like, look, bitch. No, she's not a bitch. I'm just kidding. She's
You're
totally
like, I transitioned fantastically because are we going to talk about Anna's red ribbon?
Yeah.
While we're on
Anna and Marcel.
Tradition.
Let's talk about Anna and Marcel and her red ribbon around her waist.
I had to Google it because I saw Kyle.
Cray Kyle?
From the Cray Crays, Kyle. And he posted something and I was like, no, let me look this shit up. He's probably high posting this.
Probably.
I love him.
Kyle, we love you. That's
like,
Kyle of Kim and Kyle of the 90 Day Fiancé Cray Cray podcast who do hilarious recapping. So
yes. And so I looked it up, and for sure, for real, the red ribbon is symbolic of being a virgin. Okay.
I think Marcel said something like that or it was like in his talking head. He said it in Turkish, and it was whatever the closed captioning was. It was like a bride at her first wedding. I'm like,
yeah.
Marcel,
I mean,
did you not get the memo?
Maybe because his family now knows he's on a television show. Maybe.
So he has to pretend not only does do her kids not exist, but she's also a virgin?
Immaculate conception. Don't you watch Life After Lockup? It happens.
Oh, yeah. I got pregnant by the Holy Ghost 3 times.
Fuck.
So Anna and Marcel, they got married down to the wire. Now, the big speculation with them is this whether Marcel actually went to Turkey or not on this like visa, came back, was his visa reissued? Did he get a new visa? Is that something that could really happen? Now,
right.
We had Agency on the show talk extensively about this, and we've talked to him some more today. He will not be appearing on the show today, but we could probably have him back and explain it. But previously, he explained that what happened with Marcel, or what likely happened, the way that TLC explained it, is actually a thing that can happen. The rules provide that if you leave the country during your 90-day period, you can come back. You would technically be issued a new visa, so it wouldn't be reissuing the same visa number. You'd get a new one, but it would be on the same paperwork, the same thing that granted you the first one. You're still, provided you're still eligible, they would grant you a new one, and its time would be for the remaining time that you would have had on the original one. And this is written into the rules this way. Right. So what happened, and in the time frame that they allegedly show it, is something that can happen because it'll only take him a couple days to get this new visa, provided he can get into the consulate or whatever. He goes in, tells them his sob story. They go, well, okay, and they give him a new visa, and he flies back. The question, I know a lot of people are not on board that, and that's fine. I believe that you guys know me, I'm the biggest skeptic of this stuff. I believe he really did go back to Turkey. Whether the time frame was such that he came back with 6 hours left on his visa, the big question people have had after that episode, and we blew up Agency's phone with this today, was would he really be allowed back in the country with only 6 hours left on his visa? And I can tell you, what he said was, if he had a valid visa and time left in status, that yes, there is, as long as there's no legal or regulatory basis to deny him entry, and having the fact that it expires the next day or whatever wouldn't be a legal basis for a denial, to deny him entry. So it's not like ICE is going to be hanging around outside of Anna's house waiting for the clock to strike midnight and then go run in, grab Marcel, and take off to the nearest ICE detention center. That's not going to happen. If he overstays, that's his problem that he has to deal with when he tries to adjust his status or whatever. If he shows like his marriage was not within the time frame. Although he also told us, and maybe we're going to have him clarify this, but he said, and here's another thing. According to USCIS, if they do get married on day 91 or after, Marcel can still stay. Anna just has to file an I-130 for Marcel and start a new petition process.
Interesting.
So unless someone can find a rule citation saying if he lands on day 90, he's subject to removal, he's going to call no fraud. And he also, just as a caveat, he said he did some additional research on this, anticipating people howling about this. So that is, those are his comments. Again, sorry he's not here to deliver him personally, but we will get him back on at some point, I'm sure, to contribute.
Of course.
So your thoughts on Anna and Marcel? We had more stuff on them. His outfit, the airport
his outfit
scenes.
was supposedly the same, and this is the thing I usually would consider, but also because TLC will work with the airport to close down certain parts of it to do filming,
right? Drop
off and pick up areas like
get
that.
Permission, yeah.
Exactly. That can't be considered really as fraud if it does look familiar, because I personally know that like Sky Harbor Airport will close off some areas so that you can do filming, right?
Right. And they have to get permission to film in the airports anyway.
They have to get permission and all this stuff because no one's really allowed at the gate anymore.
Right.
So
here's the thing too, is like he could have very well have gone back to Turkey and come back. And TLC also did some creative shooting, editing of how he appeared to leave and come back to make it fit. Like you could have both situations, Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. And we know TLC will save clothes. They'll
make them wear the same outfit. Yeah.
Make them wear the same outfit, have the same stuff on them, do their makeup the same.
Right.
If they happen to change their hair, they'll probably make them, I don't know, get it cut again. I don't know.
So even if those scenes of him going on the airplane and coming back from the airplane were filmed the same day, for example, that doesn't negate the fact that he could have also actually gone back to Turkey. You can have both.
Right.
And those reshooting scenes, in fact, I had a conversation with somebody in my DMs about this because their reshoots of these scenes are so commonplace that we don't even discuss them on the show. We don't even discuss them on the Fraudcast because they're so commonplace.
Right.
That's the kind of quote-unquote fraud we don't even get out of bed for because they're so commonplace. I mean, we make fun of it. We point it out. We go, hee-hee, when they show an MMR bottle instead of Botox when Angela's getting her Botox. But those kinds of editing and reshooting of scenes to get the right angle is such low-level fraud that we don't even discuss it on the show.
Right. I think it's more interesting for people. Like, I don't know if many people know, but, they make it seem like it's the seamless interview throughout the whole series.
Right.
But they save clothes. They use green screen. You can probably see when Mike gets up and says he's, fucking done with the show. You can clearly see he's in front of a green screen.
Mm-hmm. And wasn't there one?
It doesn't matter.
There was a picture, and I think it was maybe it was on one of our like group chats or something with like iHeart, but where Emily was in front of the green screen, and the way that
you can see the green bouncing off her platinum hair,
right?
Or it wasn't platinum at the time, but you can see the green bouncing off the blonde, and it's clearly a green screen. So
yeah,
I can imagine that what they're doing is like they have their original interview, and they probably save the clothes. They probably take a picture, and then you can see like the Gaussian blur in the background. It's now blurred out, and then they have a green screen. So I'm pretty sure they try to just recreate it because how long would the person be sitting in that chair?
Well, and they are pretty long when they do those, but we know not the last season Darcy was on, but the last one she was on with Jesse. They did her talking head interviews, and she was wearing this like black leather like tank top. And in some of them, she has makeup on, and the other ones, she has really minimal makeup, and it's very, very obvious. She's wearing the same clothes, and it changes throughout like the interview they're showing on one episode. So it's clear that they've spliced them together. again, we don't even like get out of bed for that kind of fraud because it's so commonplace.
But because we know it's inconsistent. Like if even, like I say, going back to Emily with the green screen bouncing off her hair, then I look at her hair and notice it's slightly different. Mm-hmm. So maybe she got it done in between. I don't know.
Right. So.
Anyways.
So whether the time back to Anna and Marcel, I do believe that he went back to Turkey and came back. Whether he came back on the last day with the 6 hours left remains a mystery. I don't know if we can prove it or not unless we have his actual travel documents from him. Otherwise, we're just going based on what people say. There's a lot of question about, well, why didn't they just go to a courthouse to do it? Why did they have to have this big backyard wedding? Well, it looked like it was at night, so maybe the courthouse was closed. Well, maybe they couldn't get an appointment. Maybe, who knows?
Exactly. Because the courthouse isn't always just walking in. I got married at the courthouse, so.
To Benjamin.
I know. That was my wedding. So they only have so many people getting married that day, so you kind of have to have an appointment.
You have to have an appointment. You have to have gotten your wedding license. That's another thing people asked me about was, what about the officiant filing the wedding license? What about when you go and you have to get the license ahead of time, the wedding? Well, maybe they did that already before he left for Turkey.
Right. Like I can imagine her preparing for that because any person who's planning a wedding would go get their marriage license.
Right. Maybe
in Arizona, it's such a quick turnaround. I got mine the day before we got married, so it's not hard. It's not a long process.
And I don't know what it is in Nebraska. Maybe they did it before he went back to Turkey. Maybe they didn't. Maybe he really did come back on the last day, or maybe he came back a day or two before, and they just did that whole thing for
right. Because he may not even had to be present either.
Oh, for her to file it? Yeah.
Like out here you do because you have to sign that you're not cousins of the first degree.
Right.
That's it.
Well, and so I had some sources on the ground in Nebraska who were aware of some of the circumstances of Anna's relationship. And one of the things I had heard really early in the season was that the wedding, this is back when we first uncovered the wedding, the marriage certificate, was that the wedding almost didn't happen. And it happened late, and it was kind of a shit show, which is exactly what we saw on the show. So they told me that information way back when. Mm-hmm. So, and that's exactly how it ended up playing out. So it tracks with that. So,
And then last thing I have is in her stories, it was badly written, but someone had said, or claimed they saw Marcel at the airport at Chicago, and it looked like he was being forced to keep going and didn't want to. So, I mean, there's so many, forced by who? I don't know. Maybe he went past the point of no return. They're like, dude, you can't.
You've already been checked on the flight. Back. You have to actually get on it, otherwise there's a terrorist
I don't know
issue. The manifest.
I don't know the technicalities, but maybe for your visa, you're leaving now. It's done. You have to go back and I don't know.
What's next? Who's next?
Annie and Robert.
Oh yeah. So
Annie. He's so New York. Annie.
I can't do this until I do
Oh
this.
my God.
I'm gonna love you for the rest of my days on Earth.
We knew they were faking us out with that. I can't do this. I'm like, you didn't fucking propose to her?
I mean, he's
what the fuck?
Yeah. Kind of a douche. Well, she got a nice
ring. He couldn't fit that into the 8 hours that he was down there in the Dominican Republic. Actually proposed to her.
No, I think he probably came later. We're talking over the phone and online and all that stuff, and they decided.
Do you think she had to demand him propose to her too?
An actual proposal versus hey, let's get. I mean, obviously they're going to get married because they did the K1. So, but an actual proposal, getting on one knee and stuff. Okay, well.
I was like, this is a little backwards, but okay, whatever.
It gave him a good storyline, whether they did it themselves or he, concocted it. From what I understand, oftentimes cast members themselves come up with these things and sell them to the producers, and then blame, production made me do it. So
they didn't make it look good in that weird. That chapel was so claustrophobic.
Yeah.
But fraud-wise.
So, well, the big one is whether Diamond Fox, porn granny, offered her money for real or not. We have her. Yeah, we have her, Diamond Fox, porn granny, saying it was scripted for her, and she had to borrow a checkbook and happened to have a matching Louis Vuitton checkbook cover that matched her purse.
I think that was the producer's Louis Vuitton checkbook.
Probably. Everybody has one these days. It's not.
With her Tiffany necklace. So the way she was dressed screams that she actually doesn't have all that money.
Oh, porn granny?
Yeah.
But she carries a Louis Vuitton purse. I mean, it could be fake, I guess. I don't know. Mine is. So.
Yeah, I will say I used to work at Macy's. And the people that had the money were the ones that came in like those tacky ass velour sweat pants and flip flops.
Yeah.
With like a basic bag. And the ones that had like the Tiffany diamonds and their hair done up. That was a special occasion for them to go to the fancy mall.
The fancy mall.
And that's how Diamond Fox dresses like.
Oh,
it's a special occasion.
I don't know. I think she had a pretty good porn career, but Sarcasm just put an article out actually, right? That talks
porn
about
money's not,
that they're not paying their bills or something.
She's got a lien. I should have looked deeper at it, but
check out Sarcasm, you guys, because she just put out an article about this. They've got some history about liens, and I don't know if it's taxes and something that they're not paying. So, but she says that it was a production script. Annie says it was not, and either. Obviously, only one. I mean, both. See, here's the thing: both of them could be telling the truth, right? So it could have been scripted, and they just didn't tell Annie because they wanted her genuine reaction, which is something that TLC does. Or Annie could have been lying.
I have a feeling they didn't even tell Ben though, because
Ben looked
the look on his face when she pulled out the checkbook was like, "Babe, we don't have that."
and that is something that TLC is known to do. So they could all be right. Annie, it wasn't scripted for Annie, but it was scripted for Diamond Fox. Or they could all be full of shit. I mean, we're just going based on their word.
Right.
We've talked about this before. Now, Diamond Fox has said that she has screenshots of text messages that would prove this. She has not produced them. I have seen
text messages to prove that it was fake.
Yeah.
Like the producer saying, "Hey, why don't you pull out a checkbook?" And yeah, I believe that. The producers like the checks, though.
Yeah, well, I have seen texts from production about these kinds of scenes. I've actually seen them, which I can't release because then they would reveal my source. But I have not seen Diamond Fox's, the ones she claims to have, but I've seen similar ones, so I believe that they exist. I have also known that they're known to not clue in everybody because they want the reactions. So.
Mm-hmm.
I believe
it.
That was the big one, I guess.
Do we feel like that's the only fraud for them, though?
Yeah, I mean,
because we still have it's stupid little things like the conversation at the boxing training,
right? Because we had a hot boxer
going to look for an apartment. Yeah,
and I talked to the realtor.
The apartment that exactly. I'm like, so those situations may have been staged, but it's not really fraud. It's just like they were pushing him to do stupid shit,
right?
Like look for an apartment when you know you're not buying it,
right? Well, I mean, according to the realtor, I talked to Andrea, the realtor, and she was very sweet, and it was all real to her. She had no idea. So she thought she was
probably thought it was HGTV.
Yeah.
And was super excited. And they're like, no, this is 90 Day Fiancé. And Annie, that girl there, doesn't know that he's actually not going to buy this place. So.
She didn't know that, though. The realtor didn't know that. She this all happened organically in front of her. She was like, what the fuck? But anyway, I'm done with Annie and Robert.
All right.
We'll get back to them in a minute in our social media roundup. Preenush. Why don't you take the Preenush?
Preenush. It still sounds like a very delicious dessert.
Michael and Juliana.
Which they kind of got out of this season the least harm story-wise.
Right.
Like the biggest, oh my God, that's not really what happened was the prenup.
Right.
Sarah asking about the prenup.
Oh, and we found out she was married before. Juliana was married before.
Yeah, but that's not really fraud. That's just kind of like
no fraud.
a detail. Yeah. Like there's a lot of her background that the dots don't quite connect because we have social media postings about everything that happened, and then I guess everyone's mind kind of comes to, okay, so at one point in time did Michael intercept her on a yacht in between the Chinese trafficking and being married to cult church dude. So there's like there's a lot of like question marks with her.
Yeah.
I would hope that one day it can become linear. It's not our business, but like it's just what happened? You're how old? And you've like
yeah. So that's it. So I mean Sarah asking about the prenup was producer scripted, producer driven. The whole storyline about the prenup was producer driven. We've said this before on the show that the Brazil doesn't have prenups the way that we do, because those kinds of things that are covered in prenups are actually part of the marriage contract in Brazil. So that's why she doesn't understand this whole concept of a separate contract about it.
Well, and she was married in some freaky church, so that probably wasn't even there either.
Right.
Like she probably has no experience with like actual marriage in Brazil.
Well, and you know, on this finale episode, Michael gets close to like spilling the truth about why this whole thing is bullshit, because Sarah's alleged concern with why you should have a prenup was because she wanted to make sure the kids are taken care of. That's not taken care of in a prenup. That's taken care of in estate planning. That's living wills. It's living trusts. That's those kinds of things. That's estate planning. And wills and trusts and all that.
Which he explicitly says in this final episode when they try to,
and that's
again, drag this damn storyline back in with her going, what about the prenup? It's
what about the kids? What's going to happen to the kids? Well, prenup and the kids being taken care of have nothing to do with each other. So the whole thing doesn't even make sense. Because he says this, he's like, well, that's estate planning. And that is estate planning. The prenup is purely Michael and Juliana and making sure that Juliana is protected and gets some kind of, because she doesn't get anything. I don't know if Connecticut is a community property state or not, but making sure that she's protected in the event that they divorce.
Right. Well, they try to make it seem like Michael's the only one that makes money in this whole scenario.
Right. It's actually good for her to do that. I don't know why they make it out like it's such a bad thing, because it actually would be really smart for Juliana to sign it so that if he does leave her again, because that's her concern, if she has a prenup outlining what she will get, she's insured to get that versus having to be left with nothing if it's not a community property state. She can get anything,
exactly.
You know.
Sometimes it's like you don't get anything, but if you're married to me for like, I don't know, arbitrarily 10 years, you get a certain amount, and then each year, and if you're with me until I'm retired, I guess, because she's really young.
Right. If you're with me long enough to have to change my diapers and wipe my butt.
Oh no, no.
Then there's a bonus or there's a kicker.
That
for
would
kids.
that would be our next couple.
Yeah.
Talking about diapers and butt wiping.
Yeah. Michael, you need to wipe my butt if I'm not able to.
Oh my God. Well, she was real about it. She's like, look, this is something I have to do, buddy.
In case you didn't know, we're moving on now to Michael and Angela. Great transition. My supervisor would be proud. We didn't really have a ton of fraud with them. So here's the kicker with them is that my understanding is that TLC expected Michael's visa to be approved. I'm not sure why they thought that was the case, but that's what they were planning for. And when it didn't happen, it threw them for a loop. So then we suspect, going from that, our speculation is that, can I say speculation one more time?
Speculation.
That TLC probably paid for her to fly to Nigeria and go out there just so they had something to do for the rest of the season. Because if his visa was denied, like, what are they going to do? It was already several episodes in before they came onto the show, and now what are they going to do? So they had to do something.
Right.
So something to film.
They had to loop some lawyers in.
Right.
Give them really bad advice, make this tension about Angela not wanting to get married out there, just to say, okay, I'll get married out there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's really fraud or just kind of like a smashed together last minute half-ass story.
I think that's it.
That they had to do.
I think that's what it is. The one question that still remains, and we still have a question about it, is this issue about she has to have a witness with her, and she's insinuating that like it has to be somebody like from her family that has to fly from Georgia to go witness it. I don't know where that comes from. We don't know where that comes from. If she has to have a witness, why can't one of the producers do it? Or why can't somebody in Michael's family? There's plenty of people around to witness it. Does the registry guy ever say it has to be somebody that she is blood related to? It has to fly out from Georgia. Why is she going there that, somebody has to fly out. Nobody can fly out. And why are they making it a big issue? When the reality is, if it's just a witness, like it can be anybody. Like there's nobody that's anywhere that said this person has to fly from the United States to be out there to be a witness. Like, is that the requirement? We reached out to our several Nigerian experts, and by experts I mean they live in Nigeria and they know this, and they've given us some information in the past. We've reached out to them, and as of airtime, they hadn't gotten back to us. Probably time difference stuff, but we will update if we can clarify what that witness issue is when we can get that. The other thing,
because her wedding photos leaked. I say that with quotes because it was a little too. And I guess I would have expected if she had family there that would have leaked too. Yeah. Well, we couldn't identify the person holding her train, right? We couldn't identify who that person was, right? Right. There was I'm going to say blonde lady. Maybe she was part of the film crew or producer. I don't know. But somebody was there that's clearly not Nigerian. So, I mean, I don't know. That's something that I guess we'd have to check if that's actually a thing. Maybe when true. Like, remember when Michael met with those expats that were living in Nigeria? Maybe it was one of them. Maybe it was one of his like knucklehead friends. Yeah, but there was some blonde lady carrying her train. We don't know who that was. That person has not yet been identified. If that's you, come hit us up and let us know who you are. It's probably a producer. She's like, no fucking way. So that's really it on Angela and Michael. Jasmine, Blake, all fake. Their whole storyline is fake. I think they had to do something because I don't want to say they're boring, but they were too normal to be exciting for this show. So if they didn't create some kind of false narrative. Yes, as boring as they were, though, production didn't know how boring they were going to be until they started filming. So I think then they gave them, and then they gave them this like story. Whether they gave it to them or they gave it, whether the producers gave it to them or Jake and Jasmine and Blake. Sold it to them, but I have a source inside production that told me they had no idea how boring they were going to be until after they started filming. Then it was like, oh dear God. So they had to do something, and so this whole storyline about him her not liking his friends and her not liking him drinking and her not going to the birthday party, all fake. All of that's fake. Like, she doesn't drink. She's fine with him drinking. He drinks moderately. She gets along great with his friends. His friends have come out and said that early in the season. We saw their wedding pictures that we found early in the season. Smiling. She's actually smiling. So their whole, as boring as it was drummed up because underneath that, they're actually even more boring. And even with their lives, they just seem like a normal freaking couple. And normal couples are not fuel for 90 Day Fiancé. Even so, like, I can imagine that they thought they had a pretty interesting dynamic, but like into the story, the sisters thing falls off. Mm-hmm. Her not liking his friends, his like friend that, I don't know, acts like a jealous friend zoned. Right. That's the one that I think came out and said, no, we're all great. And
Oh, Everett.
Yeah, but they
Everett's
made her
birthday
look
party.
thirsty as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made her look like she was like trying to get Jasmine on the next plane back to Finland.
Right. Oh yeah, that girl. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Right,
you know
right.
what I'm talking about?
I had
She's
to
like,
think about it for a
if
minute. I
she can't
forgot.
support him, then she should go home kind of attitude. And
Yeah.
Just like,
Yeah, and then Blake just sits there. He's high as fuck all the time, just going, eh. Blake, I love you. I mean, I sort of.
It's California. A lot of people are high as fuck out there.
Right?
And they're happy about it.
You know
I mean,
what?
whatever helps filming, right?
Right. Whatever gets you through the day.
Exactly.
Keep on doing
Exactly.
you guys. Mike and Natalie. They
Now
didn't.
that's a fun one.
So Mike and Natalie didn't get married, and early in the season, we had heard that at the time of the filming of the tell-all, there's a couple that's not together, and it's Mike and Natalie, and we knew that partway through the season. So we get that confirmed. The season ends with them arguing about whatever he allegedly said or did off the screens, behind the scenes. Something.
Yeah. Something that makes her have the quote unquote trust issues.
Does that word trigger you?
It fucking does. Like trust issues.
Whenever I hear the word, we had trust issues. For those of you guys who aren't
trust
aware,
issues.
that's what Ben and Akini said on air about why his marriage to this lovely woman, the Hanakawa, how it ended, because there were trust issues. And he implied it was because she cheated on him, but it wasn't that way. It was the other way around.
Stop.
Sorry. Allegedly. Allegedly.
Allegedly. There you go. But in this case, like Natalie is so, I don't know if it's maturity, because I feel like she's old enough to carry on a conversation about the status of relationship. Mm-hmm. But it just turns into like this blame game. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. And so it's really hard for me to think that their story is fake. Which then, is she really just that like... you can see the tired on his face.
He's
like
just
he's just
over it.
like,
But okay, so
he's fucking done.
except that he's not, because we know she's here in the country on a K-1 visa.
I don't know if he wants that though. Like that could be TLC being like, you're finishing the story.
She's here on a K-1 visa, and
She's here.
and it's on a K-1. She's not here on a visitor's visa.
You think she's excited about it?
No, because my sources of production tell me that not only is she crazy pants, but she's not happy. So, so we don't know. So to answer the big question, it's been all over my Instagram. My inbox has been full. We don't know what Mike did, but she's accusing him of this, whatever happened behind the scenes, and then this tell-all preview or whatever. We do not know what Mike did. I suspected it might be he stepped out on, like he was with somebody else while they were quote unquote on a break. But my sources have said they don't think that that's the case. So I don't know.
And we've seen, if this was fake, it was really good and weird, but we've seen them bickering on social media. Mm-hmm. And it seems to be all around her saying that maybe he disrespected her looks-wise. Like, you know how the...
Right. The whole Ford versus Ferrari, whatever, commentary.
Ford versus Ferrari.
Oh, wait, that's a movie, isn't it?
Oh, my God. You can compare her to a Yugo.
Oh, God.
But I don't know if anyone remembers the Yugo car. Anyways.
Yeah, I remember it, but isn't the one with the engine in the front? I mean, in the back? The engine was in the back and it always caught on fire?
Oh my God. I don't know. My mom had one and she left it in like the complex that we lived in. Like it was so invaluable that she just said, fuck it.
You just walked away from it.
She just walked away from it.
I'm going to have to Google that because I think those were the ones that had like the engine in the back of the car. And they were always catching on fire.
Oh, they were fucking terrible. I keep asking her, how the fuck did you get that? But I mean, her whole like, am I a Ferrari now? And
She makes it sound like
know.
he speaks poorly of her when they're not on camera.
Or called her ugly or said she's not like his type or... And I'm pretty... Maybe she overheard something during the in-the-moment interview or whatever. Yeah, because, I mean, you basically sit around and listen to people talk about you for an hour or so.
Right, when he's doing his interviews.
So maybe she heard something and decided that... Because she really does do, like, this switch off screen.
She said it was off screen, so... Because I can't confirm that he actually, like, stepped out on her, we suspect it's something that he said, because she is legit crazy pants. They did have this whole thing on social media where she was like, I'm not a Ferrari, he wants a Ferrari, and, you know, whatever. But then 2 days later, she's like, I love him, you know. Who knows? Maybe he said something that she didn't understand. Maybe there was something lost in translation.
Right.
TLC editing on this tell-all, making it sound like it's this huge big deal. You know, all of my leaks from the tell-all say the tell-all was pretty kumbaya. So I think this is just TLC editing to make it look like, and it's cutting him, it's splicing, you know, Sean's reaction to something else that makes it look like it's her reaction to him. Of
course,
and stuff.
always, yeah.
So I think
head shaking and
I think what we're going to see with Mike and Natalie is it's actually a lot more mellow than the editing makes it seem. I mean, I'm going to watch. I'm sure the hell's still going to watch. I just think it's going to be a lot more mellow than what the previews make it seem. So
yeah, I don't think I've seen like the what we really want is a Jerry Springer style tell-all.
And it looks like they're trying to give us that with Angela arguing with the audience member, but I think that's it. Like what you see on the preview is as bad as it gets.
I mean, dude, Angela will argue with anything.
Right.
So I mean that to me isn't a shocker. Like if I saw like Giuliana get up and throw deuces at someone in the crowd, I'd probably be like, oh shit. What's going on?
So that's it. That's all the couples.
That's our last couple. Yay. And we made it. We made it this far. Woo-hoo. We survived. We're almost done. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's it. And we guess we'll be back for, you know, after the first episode of the tell-all, and maybe we'll break that down about what we see on the screen versus what we know in real life. I guess.
Should we do some social media?
Social media roundup. Interesting things this week.
Annie and Robert.
Yes. Spotted filming at Monkey Joe's.
Filming at Monkey Joe's. I had to look that up. I'm like, the hell?
Monkey Joe's is like
so
one
it's
of
a
those bounce house kids' places.
Oh, okay. We have nothing like that here, so it's probably close to like, I don't know, Chuck E. Cheese or
yeah,
some kind
similar.
Of
They've got like
something like that.
Climbing, like big blow up climbing things and stuff like that. So they were spotted just last week filming at this Monkey Joe's place with Bryson. We are assuming it's for Happily Ever After, so we'll see them again.
Right. I would think so.
Yeah.
They seem, I mean, out of all of them, I don't mind seeing Annie again because she's kind of funny.
Yeah, seeing them more. You know, he totally did catfish her with the promises or the bait and switch, whatever you want to call it, that like these promises of money and all this stuff. But she sounds like, sounds like she legitimately fell for him. So, you know.
I mean, he catfished us. He told us like he knew celebrities and shit. And I didn't see
Did he?
Yeah, he said he met celebrities doing Uber.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay. Anyway.
Next up, Sir Tom Brooks.
My best friend.
Ghosting Instagram.
Mm-hmm. How long is that going to last? The new season comes up in a couple weeks. He'll be back. I'm guessing.
He will be back. I think he's probably just a little sore that people jumped on him for his most recent post when he posted the picture of Darcy. I'm like, I don't know if I would have jumped on him because she posted it too. Maybe?
Oh, was it the one of her in the wedding dress?
It was the one of her in the wedding dress, and it's not the most flattering angle that they had, but it's not like he changed the picture to make her look that way. It's just the camera caught that, and that's what it was. Maybe they were thinking he could have picked a better picture.
Yeah, I mean, he was clearly bashing her by, even just...
He's been poking at her for a while, so there's no innocence there. He's obviously trying to make jokes and shit. But
yeah. I don't know, maybe he needs some time to go cultivate new Instagram pictures from other sources to post as his own.
I thought you were going to say mushrooms. Cultivate some more fucking mushrooms.
He seems to have dropped that for now, so we'll see.
It's probably very smart that he dropped that.
His whole new season's coming up, so he has to get a whole new set of fans to fraud on his Instagram.
Right.
Diamond Fox.
Diamond Fox. She is not a porn agency, guys. She can't help you get that new star role.
Stop asking to fuck her on screen. I suspect that's what's happening. People asking.
That would add a different dynamic to that story. I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking more of somebody wanting an aspiring career in porn, but
with her,
I mean, she has to have fans, right?
She does. She has to have fans. She has an OnlyFans. Or
she has a shit ton of fans on Instagram, and I can imagine like somebody who watches 90 Day was like, "I want to bang that granny."
I'm sure. Yeah, I've perused her Instagram comments, and yeah,
I got stamina.
She does have that podcast, MILF and Cookies.
No, really?
Yeah, for real. Yeah. She has a podcast called MILF and Cookies.
Dude, I'm checking that out
I thought you didn't know. Here. This is what you do.
I didn't.
You go check out all the nude and Patreons and all this stuff. You did that with Stephanie on the upcoming Before the 90 Days. All of her topless or whatever pictures that she has.
But she's not porn.
No, but I thought that's what you did.
Fox, I was adverse to that just because I didn't really want to watch her doing things, especially if it was the Ben guy. But yeah, we do have a racy. Do I call it racy, scandalous?
Do we have any listeners who are members of Diamond Fox's OnlyFans page?
Ooh.
No, I don't need to see it. I mean, I could just watch one of her movies if I wanted to see all that. I don't. But I'm sure one of our...
Friday wants to know what the perks are to signing up.
No, I'm okay.
How many photos do you get? Do you get a private message, a card in the mail, a keychain?
Ronald and Tiffany. Oh, God.
This one's all you, because I got lost in...
Okay, so Ronald and Tiffany of The Other Way. He lived in South Africa as a gambler, was in rehab, and Jesus Saves and all this. They had a very, very public breakup, and it was really kind of ugly and nasty and immature, and they kept going back at each other, and it was back and forth, and he accused her of cheating, and she accused him of cheating and lying and all of this stuff, and it was this huge, big blowout all over social media. It was very reminiscent of, like, Paul and Carini. And then they got back together and are trying to work things out, and that was much more quiet, although it was on social media. She did talk about it, that she does love him, but apparently he lies to her a lot, but she's trying to work it out, and she says she was on her way over to South Africa with the kids. So that's that. Also with Tiffany, so the latest with them is that they are currently together. That's their latest status.
I'm exhausted by that.
I know. It was just too much. I was waiting for it all to settle out before we got the summary, and then I'm like, hey, I heart reality TV shows too, as our segment producer. She kind of gathers a lot of
She's awesome at putting all this stuff together.
Yeah, she does a lot of the social media stuff for us, and that she goes and like cultivates it all for us and gives it to us in like a concise, easy way to read, since we're all doing this other stuff. So that's what she does. So when people ask what a segment producer is, that's what she does. She well, one of the many things she does for us. But anyway, so she had put all of it together. She went and she summarized everything that happened from each side. She gave us the exact quotes as well as a summary of each thing. So the summary is that they fought, they're back together. Also, there was a picture of Tiffany allegedly drinking a beer while she was pregnant, and this caused a lot of havoc all over social media between Tiffany and a particular blogger, accusing her of drinking beer while pregnant. And Tiffany's side of the story was she only grabbed the bottle of beer to pretend like she wasn't pregnant because she wasn't allowed to share the pregnancy news yet. So she had just grabbed the bottle and held it to make it look like it. The picture, she doesn't have it in her mouth or anything. There's no video of her pouring it down her throat. So we don't have any evidence that she actually consumed the beer, but she is holding it with the story that she couldn't reveal the pregnancy at that point. And that picture was actually taken at her baby shower. And if you look, it's all pink and stuff. And it was actually her baby shower. But since she couldn't reveal she was pregnant, her mom, who posted the picture, said it was like somebody else's like welcome home party or something like that. But it was actually her baby shower. And that she was like either later that day or a couple days later allowed to reveal that she was in fact pregnant. So that's the story there. And then, then there's the thing, was she actually drinking a beer? Where she said at one point she also said it was a non-alcoholic beer, which it wasn't. The one that she's holding in her hand, it was not. You know what those look like. It wasn't like a Sharps or no Duels. It was a Miller Lite. So,
that's just drama.
Drama.
For her, she would have just said, I was faking it because I had to pretend I wasn't pregnant.
Right.
Cool. The tangent on it was a non-alcoholic beer was just kind of like, people are way too smart for that.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the point was
whatever.
Of all that, but yeah.
Yeah. Who knows?
I see a lot of my sober friends in pictures that there's with other friends, with people who have alcohol around. And I don't accuse them of drinking. Like, I know they're sober, right? Just because there's alcohol present near them, or they may be holding a glass that, like, I know people who are alcoholics who don't want people to know they're alcoholics. So they'll order like their sparkling water in like a highball glass.
Right.
To make it look like they'll put a lime in it. They'll make it look like it's an actual, like a vodka soda or something, but it's not, or whatever the glasses are. I don't know. People do that all the time that I know of in real life. I'm not one of them because it's just, I don't hang out in situations like that. But for a variety of reasons, I'd rather be home with my dogs, to be honest. But and for the most part, when I'm out, most people know, as you guys know, I'm very open about my sobriety. But a lot of people are not for a variety of reasons, because of the stigma, and maybe they just got sober and they're just not ready to tell people yet. There's a lot of really legitimate reasons why people aren't drinking but might want to make other people think that they are. Plus, if you're not drinking, and there's a lot of times in certain situations where people will make you feel really weird for not drinking. Like, alcohol is such this culture, and it's a complete side tangent, but there's this culture about it that you can feel uncomfortable if you're not. So some people that I know will pretend like they're drinking a vodka soda or something when it's really just plain sparkling water. Just to make it look like they have a drink. So somebody, people will leave them alone or whatever. They won't out themselves.
And everyone's going to ask, well, why aren't you drinking? And you have to explain everything. And are you pregnant? And there's people care so fucking much.
But the thing is, they don't. The people who care that much usually have an alcohol problem themselves, is all I'm saying.
They're obsessing over it.
If they're obsessing over your alcohol consumption, they have a drinking problem themselves, is what I'm saying. Because alcoholics are the only ones who obsess.
Right. And I guess for me, I was hoping, if she was actually drinking, somebody around her would probably have said something.
Yeah.
Maybe.
She came out and she was like, I would never drink while I was pregnant. I was just pretending. And I can believe that she was pretending because TLC wouldn't let her release this and she was trying to throw us off. I can believe that more than I can believe that she was choosing to drink while pregnant, which is a whole other thing because, there's, that whole argument about is one beer, is any drink too much or, whatever. I'm not going to get into that.
Hard,
I'm not
I'm
not even going to go there. My opinion doesn't matter. All right. Juliana and Michael at dinner with Tanya and St. over Super Bowl weekend. The two Connecticut couples got together and had dinner. The scandal on Akawa.
That was hilarious.
You guys, people had some feelings.
I know.
People had some feelings about that.
I just like the filters that Juliana was using because I I support those filters.
People had an uproar about that. They're like, people blew up my DMs and stuff. Like, people were outraged that the four of them, who all happen to live in Connecticut, dared to get together over Super Bowl weekend and have dinner. Like, it was a scandal.
Yeah, I don't know what the scandal was.
I don't know either.
Unless it was some like gigantic Connecticut orgy, which I'm sure it wasn't.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure. So, two couples who live in Connecticut who both happen to be on the same show got together over Super Bowl weekend. I mean, what are the odds? Speaking of Tanya, she was spotted in South Africa. Probably part of the filming for Happily Ever After.
Right.
And then she tried to throw people off by saying she was in Cancun or something.
Oh. Yeah, she posted some picture and geotagged it in Mexico or some...
Which, spoiler alert, you guys, you can do that from anywhere.
Right.
You don't have to be in the location to
anywhere.
geotag something.
I can be in Narnia.
Right. You can put anything you want there. It doesn't matter. So when someone posts something and it says, "Oh, I'm in there," we don't necessarily go by that unless they're really stupid. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But that geotagging, you guys, you can put anything you want. I could write, "I am up, Danielle's asshole," and
well then, is it holographic?
Holographic. Oh, there is no store. Love her, you guys.
I love that. Oh my god.
She just
Danielle
sent me a
got
message.
To go to freaking Mexico.
She's sending me a package today. I'm so excited.
Oh yay!
Well, I'm sending her.
I'm trying to get her.
We're exchanging packages.
I'm trying to get her crack tray. I'm like, let me buy it.
I don't. Yeah,
I don't have weed to roll on it, but I want it.
There is no store as an account on Instagram, and she makes these really awesome little drawings and egg holders and crack tins and stuff. It's really cute. Anyway, so we're exchanging packages. I'm sending her a Fraudcast swag bag, and she's sending me some stuff. Speaking of, I still have swag bags, $30. Priority shipping included. I just want them out of my house.
Buy my merch.
And our last social media, we gotta hurry along, man. We gotta finish this up. We're dragging this out as long as the goddamn season. So the last social media is so unfortunately Angela's mother passed away recently, and so the one that she was living with, and she posted Grandma's obituary, and on Grandma's obituary it said she is survived by her daughter Angela Deem and son-in-law Michael, whatever his last name is, of Hazelhurst, Georgia. Now, people took this to mean that Michael was in Hazelhurst. That's not what that means. We know for a fact.
I think it would just sound silly. Yeah.
Yeah, we know for a fact that Michael is not in Hazelhurst. We know for a fact he's still in Nigeria. We know this for a fact, 100%. It's just the way it was worded. Angela is of Hazelhurst. It's just easier to write that. They're in. It's just the way it was written. He's not actually.
And we know how Angela is. Do you think she's really gonna want to put it that it's separate?
Right. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So that's the social.
And it probably wasn't even on her mind.
Yeah. It's just easier. She got the copy of it and she went, wait. It's Angela Deem of Hazelhurst and son-in-law of Nigeria. No, it doesn't make, it's just easier. Whatever.
Right.
Thoughts and prayers to Angela and her family for the loss of Grandma. So that's it.
That's it.
That's our show.
That's the social media. It's been rounded up.
We rounded it up so you don't have to. I don't have any shout outs this week. Our Patreons. Thank you guys for being Patreons. We appreciate your support.
Very much.
And we appreciate...
I haven't had a chance to look at it today. Oh my god, darn, I hope it's not messages.
I yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I am Frauded by TLC. You can find me on Instagram at Frauded by TLC. You can find me on Twitter at Frauded by TLC. You can find our website, talkersofraud.com. Hopefully, if we're not too much longer, maybe you can give us an update on that. You can also find me on Instagram on Friday nights. I do Frauded Night Live, where we get together for an hour or so and talk about the gossip of the week and any tea we might have. So you can join me over there. Hanakawa, you have an update for us on the website?
Yes, I do.
Ooh.
I'm working on it.
There you go.
That's your update.
They're working on...
Right. It's kind of a tender balance because, whenever you're looking at an update, you're just constantly trying to, make sure that everything is still connected. Like, you have a lot of RS feeds and you have, a lot of stuff going on. So the last thing we want to do is break it. So
I was told that the code on Talkers of Fraud was, in no uncertain terms, a red hot mess. So that there was 3 different cascades on top of each other, and it was just all kinds of just not...
Yeah, there's going to be a match taken to that. So we're kind of burning down Rome and starting over again. So
That's the idea.
Be good.
That's the hope. So I own TheFraudcast.com. So they're building that from the ground up. And then there's going to be things like the RSS feed that has to be carried over, but without carrying over all the rest of the crap that's on the other page. And hopefully on the new site, we have plans to incorporate some actual blogging.
Yes.
For those of you guys who aren't aware, Agent C, who's our special contributor and semi-regular, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't call him a co-host, but I wouldn't call him a guest anymore at this point. He's like that in-between guest, special contributor.
Yeah.
He has gotten such a good response to his Ask the Visa Officer at gmail.com email, people asking him questions about their personal situations, that he has taken it a step further, and he has askthevisaofficer.com. And it is his website where he offers a variety of services, some for a nominal fee. So he can provide some of these things. So you can go check it out. He writes some of his Reddit style AMA type threads, but he also is going to be doing sort of just regular blogging on the 90-day visa stuff that we're also going to carry on our site.
Yes.
Carry over, a crossover, sort of. It's his site and his material, but it'll be carried on our site as well. Some stuff like that. We're going to have new merch. We're in the process of designing new merch, which I'm really excited about. A lot of cast catchphrases, as it were, on various items.
Right. Those are always popular, so it's just putting it on the right item.
And we're having to find the right vendor. We shut down the other one because the vendor sucked. I'm sorry for those of you guys who had to deal with some of those issues. And I thank you for your patience in dealing with it. But that's why I just ultimately shut it down. It was just too much of a pain in the ass. And you guys deserve better than that. So we're finding a new vendor. We're finding all that. It's going to be a new and better and growing and all of that fun, good stuff. So...
Yes.
Where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram, of course, the Hanakawa. That's it.
That's it?
At the Hanakawa.
That's it.
That's it. No underscores. I do fun stuff on Saturday. I don't really know what to call it. I joke and say it's Saturday Night Live, but it's not really. It's more like whatever we want to talk about.
Which usually ends up being X-rated.
It is X-rated, so I'll tell everybody now, we always end up going down the dark hole of talking about fetishes or talking
dark
about
holes, you guys.
Some kind
We're
of
going in
sex.
holes.
And they may be dark.
And warm and wet.
No,
sorry.
It's fun. So I think this past we did Rule 34 last weekend, and then this weekend we talked about furries. So a lot of people say I don't save these ones. It's more like if you're there, you're there. If you're not,
it's not like she's out there giving a bunch of gossip.
There's no tea.
It's not tea.
Yeah, no gossip.
Yeah.
Just talk. Just whatever we decide to. So
it's just this
upcoming Saturday.
If you have nothing better to do on a Saturday night, which I don't usually, I'm in bed and with my dogs, and I can't sleep. As you guys know, I don't really sleep a lot, so I'm there, and it's fun, and yeah. So it's not tea. So it's just fun to chat with a bunch of other people. My lives are saved on my YouTube, which is Frauded by TLC on YouTube is the name of the channel. It's long, Frauded by TLC on YouTube. If you could go and subscribe to it, and you can opt out of notifications, but that would actually really help me. I put all of the Fraudcast episodes up there, as well as all of my Frauded Night Lives, and the purpose of that is so that I can put closed captioning on them for our hard of hearing and deaf fans. So that's the reason why they're there, to help support my ability to continue to do that. If you could support me by subscribing, that is a free, easy, fast way to help support us being able to put these out there, and for our hard of hearing and deaf community that want to be able to see them. So yeah.
All good?
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. We're the Fraudcast. And we're dumpster diving, so you don't have to.
This Fraudcast has been produced and edited by yours truly. Art by Sarah Dawdy. Music written, produced, and performed by Ooh Mommy. Segment producer at iHeart Reality TV Shows. Further assistance provided by many unnamed fraud consultants.